Let's go ahead and set up VS Code. We're going to start off with a basic configuration and then we'll go on to optional plugins. In order to do that, we'll go ahead and navigate to the URL where we can download VS Code. Once the file downloads, let's navigate to the directory and extract the executable. We'll go ahead and copy it, move to our applications, and paste it. Let's confirm it's there. And yes, there it is at the bottom. At this point, we can go ahead and launch the editor. And the very first time that we do so, we're going to be requested for approval, for confirmation. I'm going to go ahead and resize my window here. I'm going to go ahead and drag in a sample HTML file, and you can see there that the default configuration gives you some syntax highlighting. It can detect that there are two different types of languages here, HTML and JavaScript. It would also give you some basic autocomplete plus some other support. Now, the additional plugins that we will recommend to you go beyond that to give you some hints and provide you some basic style recommendations that will make your code stronger. Let's move on to the plugins. In order to do that, we need to perform two steps. The first one is to install Nodejs and a number of packages within the operating system. We will then come back to the editor and complete the configuration. So let's go ahead and move on to the URL where we can download Nodejs. We will download the recommended version. We will keep it. Once the file downloads, we will move to the Finder and launch the installer. When you're prompted for a password, this is your machine's password, the password that you use to log into your machine. At this point, we can go ahead and launch a terminal window and we can start to run or to do the installations for the packages from the command line. I'm going to go ahead and open up a terminal. We can confirm the installation of Node by entering node-v, and you can see there that that's the version that we installed. We're also going to enter sudo su to have more permissions for some of the installations that we're going to do. Again, the password that you need is the password that you use to log into your machine. We're going to install three packages. The first one is ESLint. The second one is ESLint plugin HTML. And the last one is ESLint plugin import. I'm going to exit from sudo and go back to the bash. And at this point, we'll go back to the editor and finish the configuration. There are a couple of steps that we need to take here. There's actually three steps. The first one is to create a configuration file for those plugins. I've written that beforehand, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that text here. The name of the file is a standard name. I'm going to go ahead and save it to a location of our choosing, which will be, let me go ahead and put it here within the application or at the root of the user in this case, and I will call the folder VSCode, the name of the editor, and I will call the file eslint.rc.json, and this is simply a convention of the configuration file. I'm going to go ahead and save it. It'll ask me if I am sure if I want to start the name with a dot. I'll say yes. And at this point, I've gone ahead and saved that file. We can confirm that we wrote it to the file system by going to VS Code and listing the files with the -LA option. And if we want to see that in fact the contents are there, we can enter more plus the name of the file. Now let's go back to our editor. The next step that we need to take, or the second step of the 3 that we're going to do in the editor, is to install the plugin. And we will enter ESLint here. Select it and install it. We will reload the editor to make sure all of that comes into memory. And once we've done that, the only step remaining is to add a configuration to the editor so that it reads that configuration file every single time it launches. You can access that configuration by selecting Code, then Preferences, then User Settings. And I've written what you need to enter beforehand. All of these configurations we will provide in files for you. And I'm going to go ahead and enter a comma here and paste the configuration. I'm then going to go ahead and save and close, and I will relaunch the editor. And I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop the sample.html. And note that when I remove the semicolon, I now get a little red squiggly that says missing semicolon. It is giving me a hint that I've done something wrong. And this is what I meant back at the beginning, where I mentioned that some of these plugins simply help you write cleaner, better code. I will leave the rest for you to explore. And with that, I'll go ahead and close. Thank you for your attention. Happy coding and goodbye.